Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 33. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babel is like a threshing floor. The time of her threshing is come, yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babel hath devoured me and destroyed me. He hath made me an empty vessel. He swallowed me up like a dragon, and filled his belly with my delicates, and hath cast me out. The spoil of me, and that which was left of me, is brought unto Babel. Shall the inhabitant of Zion say, and my blood unto the inhabitants of Chaldea? Shall Jerusalem say, therefore thus saith the Lord, behold, I will maintain thy cause, and take vengeance for thee. I will dry up the sea, and dry up her springs. And Babel shall be as heaps, a dwelling place for dragons, and astonishment, and hissing, without inhabitant. They shall roar together like lions, and yell as the lions' whelps. In their heat I will make them feasts, and I will make them drunken, that they may rejoice and sleep a perpetual sleep, and wake not, saith the Lord. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, and like rams and goats. How is Sheshach taken? How is the glory of the whole earth taken? How is Babel become an astonishment among the nations? The sea is come up upon Babel. She is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. Her cities are desolate. The land is dry and a wilderness, a land wherein no man dwelleth, neither doth the Son of Man pass thereby. I will also visit Bel in Babel. I will bring out his mouth, that which he hath swallowed up, and the nations shall run no more unto him, and the wall of Babel shall fall. I will also visit Bel in Babel, and I will bring out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nations shall run no more unto him, and the wall of Babel shall fall. My people, go out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce wrath of the Lord, lest your heart even faint, and ye fear the rumor that shall be heard in the land, the rumor that shall come this year, and after that in the other year shall come a rumor, and cruelty in the land, and ruler against ruler. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will visit the images of Babel, and the whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heavens and the earth, and all that is therein, shall rejoice for Babel, for the destroyer shall come unto her from the north, saith the Lord. As Babel causeth the slain of Israel to fall, so by Babel the slain of all the earth did fall. Ye that have escaped the sword, go away, stand not still. Remember the Lord afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. We are confounded because we have heard reproach. Shame hath covered our faces, for strangers are come unto the sanctuaries of the Lord's house. Wherefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will visit her graven images, and through all her land the wounded shall groan. Though Babel should mount up to heaven, and though she should defend her strength on high, yet from me shall her destroyers come, saith the Lord. A sound of a cry cometh from Babel, and great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans, because the Lord hath laid Babel waste, and destroyed from her the great voice, and her waves shall roar like great waters, and a sound was made by their noise, because the destroyer is come upon her, even upon Babel, and her strong men are taken. Their bows are broken, for the Lord God hath recompensed. He shall surely recompense. And I will make drunk her princes, and her wise men, her dukes, and her nobles, and her strong men, and they shall sleep a perpetual sleep, and wake not, saith the King, whose name is the Lord of hosts. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the thick wall of Babel shall be broken, and her high gates shall be burnt with fire, and the people shall labor in vain, and the folk in the fire, for they shall be weary. The word which Jeremiah the prophet commanded Seraiah the son of Neriah, the son of Maaseiah, when he went with Zedekiah the king of Judah unto Babel, in the 4th year of his reign. And thus Seraiah was a peaceable prince. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babel, even all these things that are written against Babel. And Jeremiah said to Seraiah, When thou comest unto Babel, and shalt see and shalt read all these words, then shalt thou say, O Lord, thou hast spoken against this place, to destroy it, that none should remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it should be desolate forever. And when thou hast made an end of reading this book, thou shalt bind a stone to it, and cast it in the midst of the Euphrates, and shalt say, Thus shall Babel be drowned, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 52. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that Jehoiakim had done, doubtless because the wrath of the Lord was against Jerusalem and Judah, till he has cast them out from his presence. Therefore Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babel. But in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, the 10th day of the month, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, he and all his host, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it, and built forts against it round about. So the city was besieged unto the 11th year of the king Zedekiah. Now in the 4th month, the 9th day of the month, the famine was sore in the city, so that there was no more bread for the people of the land. Then the city was broken up, and all the men of war fled, and went out of the city by night, by the way of the gate between the two walls, which was by the king's garden. Now the Chaldeans were by the city round about, and they went the way of the wilderness. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued after the king, and took Zedekiah in the desert of Jericho, and all the host was scattered from him. Then they took the king and carried him up unto the king of Babel in Riblah, in the land of Hamath, where he gave judgment upon him. And the king of Babel slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. He slew also all the princes of Judah in Riblah. Then he put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and the king of Babel bound him in chains, and carried him to Babel, and put him in prison till the day of his death. Now in the 5th month, in the 10th day of the month, which was the 19th year of the king of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, came Nebuzaradan, chief steward, which stood before the king of Babel in Jerusalem. And he burnt the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and all the great houses burnt he with fire. And all the army of the Chaldeans that were with the chief steward brake down all the walls of Jerusalem round about. Then Nebuzaradan, the chief steward, carried away captive certain of the poor of the people, and the residue of the people that remained in the city, and those that were fled and fallen to the king of Babel, with the rest of the multitude. But Nebuzaradan the chief steward left certain of the poor of the land to dress the vines and to till the land. Also the pillars of brass that were in the house of the Lord, and the bases and the brazen sea that was in the house of the Lord, the Chaldeans brake, and carried all the brass of them to Babel, the pots also, and the basins, and the instruments of music, and the basins, and the incense dishes, and all the vessels of brass wherewith they ministered, took they away, and the bowls, and the ashpans, and the basins, and the pots, and the candlesticks, and the incense dishes, and the cups, and all that was gold, and all that was silver, took the chief steward away, with the 2 pillars, 1 sea, and 12 brazen bowls that were under the bases, which King Solomon had made in the house of the Lord. The brass of all these vessels was without weight. And concerning the pillars, the height of 1 pillar was 18 cubits, and a thread of 12 cubits did compass it, and the thickness thereof was 4 fingers. It was hollow. And a chapiter of brass was upon it, and the height of one chapiter was 5 cubits with network, and pomegranates upon the chapiters round about, all of brass. The second pillar also, and the pomegranates were like unto these. And there were 96 pomegranates on a side, and all the pomegranates upon the network were 100 round about. And the chief steward took Seraiah, the chief priest, and Zephaniah, the second priest, and the 3 keepers of the door. He took also out of the city an eunuch, which had the oversight of the men of war, and 7 men that were in the king's presence, which were found in the city, and Sophar, captain of the host, who mustered the people of the land, and 80 men of the people of the land that were found in the midst of the city. Nebuzaradan, the chief steward, took them, and brought them to the king of Babel, to Riblah. And the king of Babel smote them, and slew them in Riblah, in the land of Hamath. Thus Judah was carried away captive out of his own land. This is the people whom Nebuchadnezzar carried away captive. In the 7th year, even 3,000 Jews, and 23. In the 18th year of Nebuchadnezzar, he carried away captive from Jerusalem 832 persons. In the 23rd year of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuzaradan, the chief steward, carried away captive of the Jews 745 persons. All the persons were 4,600. And in the 37th year of the captivity of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, in the 12th month, in the 25th day of the month, Evil-Merodach, king of Babel, in the 1st year of his reign, lifted up the head of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and brought him out of prison, and spake kindly unto him, and set his throne above the throne of the kings that were with him in Babel, and changed his prison garments, and he did continually eat bread before him all the days of his life. His portion was a continual portion given him of the king of Babel, every day a certain, all the days of his life until he died.